Hello, my little scientists. Welcome to Miss Debbie's online STEM class. Today, we're going to be learning about the word absorb. Do you know what absorb means? Well, if you don't, you've come to the right place because we are going to do an experiment. Now, as scientists, when we do an experiment, we're going to ask a question. The question we're going to ask today is, what does absorb mean? So in order to find out what absorb means, we're going to do an experiment. First, before we do our experiment, we're going to make sure that we have some items that we're going to test. Miss Debbie got a pamper, some tin foil, a cotton ball, a pencil, a coin, a paintbrush, sandpaper, a plastic little cup, a tissue. I have so many things because I wanted to give you so many different ideas. Not all of you are going to have everything at your house, but you may have some of these things that you'd want to test. A sponge that I cut into a smaller piece, a little dishcloth that I cut into a smaller piece, a napkin, a piece of bread, and a piece of plastic. Now you're also going to need a cup of water. Oh, and I have a Lego too. Any toy, if you have any toys that you want to test. Now, in addition to the water, we're going to need something to apply water to all of our items here. You can use a spoon, dip it in your cup of water, or you can use a medicine dropper, put it in the water, and pull it up. Then you have some water in here to use. You could use a little medicine cup. Put a little water in your medicine cup. Or if you have a spray bottle at home, you could use a spray bottle too. Now, before you start your experiment, you might want to make sure that you have a tray of some sort, a cookie sheet, a plate, or you can even use an ice cube tray. Something to hold your water so you don't get water everywhere when you're testing your items. So what we're going to do is start with an item. I'm going to start with a napkin. And before I start my experiment, I'm going to ask myself if I think this napkin will absorb water. I'm going to guess that it will absorb water. So I'm going to put it in my ice cube tray. And I think I'll use a spoon. And I'm going to dip it in my cup of water. And I'm going to put the water onto my napkin. Now, what I'm going to do is lift up the napkin and I'm going to tip it all around and see what happened to the water. Is the water falling off? No, the water isn't falling off. The water has stayed inside my napkin. So, if the water has stayed inside my napkin, it's almost as if my napkin drank the water. Now I'm going to try a piece of tin foil. And Miss Debbie's going to guess whether or not I think my tin foil will absorb the water. I'm going to say it does. I'm going to put it inside this little holder here. I'm going to get a little bit of water and I'm going to pour it on my tin foil. Then I'm going to pick it up. And oh, when I tipped it over, did you see the water fall off of the tin foil? So the tin foil did not drink up the water. So when we say that something absorbs water, that means it drinks up the water. Miss Debbie doesn't want to spoil all the fun for you. So I've tested 2 items so far to see if they absorb water. So what I'd like you to do now is test as many items as you can at home and see if they absorb water or if they don't absorb water. And then we'll be back and we're going to do a craft together. Okay, Miss Debbie wants to know, how many items did you find that absorbed water? 2, 3, maybe 4? And how many items did you find that did not absorb water? Interesting. Now, before we go on to our craft, Miss Debbie wanted you to know the difference between something that absorbs water and something that does not absorb water. Something that absorbs water, like a tissue or a cotton ball, is called porous. Can you say the word porous? Porous, correct. Now, when something is porous, that means it has tiny little holes in it that we can't really see. But these holes allow air and liquid to pass through them. Something that is not porous, maybe a Lego or a piece of plastic spoon, it does not have tiny holes in it to allow air or water to pass through. So this does not absorb water because it is non-porous, and this absorbs water because it's porous. So now we're going to work on our fun craft about absorption. Before we do our absorption craft, we are going to have to make sure that we have a cup of water, either a paper towel, Miss Debbie folded this paper towel up, or a napkin, or a coffee filter if you have a coffee filter around. If you don't have any of these items, maybe just a plain piece of paper might work. So we are going to start with markers. If you don't have markers in your house, you could also use some food coloring. Miss Debbie's going to start with markers first. These are washable markers and they seem to work the best, but if you don't have washable markers, you can experiment with other markers that you have. So what I'm going to choose to use first is a coffee filter. And what I'm going to do is draw on my coffee filter. And I'm going to draw on my coffee filter. You can draw anything you'd like. I'm making big circles and little circles. And then I'm going to try a different color. I'm going to add some pink. And maybe I'll make some lines through. Okay. Once you've completed your artwork on your coffee filter or your napkin, you're going to fold it up. First, Miss Debbie's going to fold it in half. Then I'm going to fold it in half again. And then I'm going to fold it in half again. If you were using a napkin, I have a smaller napkin here, but I'm going to fold it in half, the same thing. And then I'm going to fold it in half this way to make it into a triangle. And then fold it in half again like this. Okay? So I'm going to start with the coffee filter first, and I'm going to place it in the water, just like so. Not all the way in the water, just the tip. And I'm going to watch my coffee filter absorb or drink up the water. It's slowly making its way up the coffee filter. It's drinking up the water and absorbing it. It's pretty cool. And all the colors that I use, the pink and the purple, are mixing together. You can keep it in here for as long as you'd like. I think that's good. It's absorb the water almost to the top. And I'm going to take my coffee filter and I'm going to lay it on a paper towel so the paper towel can absorb the excess water. And I'm going to let it dry. It may take about 10 or 15 minutes. So you can sit and watch it dry, or you can play and come back. Now, if you don't have markers and you want to use food coloring, I'm going to drop a few drops of food coloring here in my cup. And I'm going to stir it up a little bit. And now what I'm going to do is dip in a paper towel. And I'm going to see how the paper towel absorbs the colored water. Now with this type of experiment. You can probably only use one color, but it's still fun to watch the paper towel drink up the colored water. So here we go. Ooh, it's drinking it up a little bit faster than the coffee filter. Ooh, my paper towel is getting heavier because it's holding the water. Okay, I think I've got enough. Can you see the light blue water in my paper towel? My paper towel absorbed the blue water. I'm going to lay this down over here for it to dry. Now, Miss Debbie has a completed craft that I had done a couple days ago. And this is what it looks like. Pretty piece of artwork. Looks like a pretty flower. Perfect in time for spring. So I hope you had fun today learning about the word absorb. And I hope you have fun doing your experiment at home. And until we see each other again, stay happy and healthy. And I'll see you again next week. Bye, friends.